Okay, we're going to resume. We are later than we planned. This is the first budget workshop continued. It is Thursday, July 28th. It is now 8:12. Thank you for the break, Ms. Latricia. We definitely appreciate it. Appreciate the cookies, Mr. Cox. And we are going to do the millage now because it's something we have to do before we can leave tonight. So we might as well get that out of the way. In your book, if you go under the property tax revenue tab, oh my God, you will see page 16 and 17, and they show kind of the history of where we are and where we might go. In the black square at the bottom, you see current year millage rate. You see the gross taxable value of the property in the city. The millage rate for this year was 6.75. You see that there has been a change in the revenue and it has increased. If we stay with the 6.75, it will generate $96,774. And I believe that's what Mr. Bloom said that he had already worked into the budget. I understood him to say that.
Deborah, and he also said, and I don't know, I didn't see it in here, that it's 0.25 mils equals $12.50 per $100,000 value. Remember last year, everybody was surprised to hear that?
All right, say that again.
For every 0.25, it's $12.50 per $100,000 value of
okay. There is another slide somewhere in here
that says
that tells how much it is per 100,000. You think page 13? Could somebody say that?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's in the new supplemental.
It's not on my 13, but it is here somewhere.
I think it's in the new supplemental that he gave us today.
Oh, yes, there you go. Thank you very much. Y'all are good. So slide number
13.
15.
Slide number, maybe it's page number 13.
Slide number 15.
Slide number 15.
Page 8.
Page 8, slide number 15, impact of millage rate. Thank y'all very much. At 6.75, as they said, you can see the assessed value. So you can figure out what the estimated value of your house is, and you can tell how it will impact you. If we went from 6.75 mils to 7 mils, which I'm not proposing, by the way, it would increase $12.50 for every 100,000 valuation of a house. So if you had a $200,000 house, it would go up $25. What that would amount to. So, anybody have discussion on millage rate? Any questions regarding the millage rate?
What are we at currently?
Huh?
6.75.
In the book, 6.75 is where we are currently. He wants to stay the same.
And the values have increased,
Right.
which will increase revenue by staying the same.
By $96,000, because the assessed value of the property within the city limits has gone up. And I would say mostly probably Old School Plaza. We've got all that commercial up there. That's probably a lot of it.
You usually don't see that for like a year after they
Two.
CO. 2
This
years.
should be a year.
It's 2 years.
2 years,
Yeah,
you won't see it?
That's according to Stephen in the budget meeting.
Really? Okay, so what would it be? I don't know. Anyway, I guess these just assessed values have gone up.
Over the last 2 years ago.
So next year it'll be really good.
Yeah. And the increase in the values of the property.
Is anybody interested in going up? I'm not interested in going up. Y'all interested in going up? Anybody interested in going down?
think we won't stay in bed.
You see the rollback. Well, if you see the rollback rate, actually, you lose $29,582. I don't know how, but that's what it says.
Where'd you see that
Page 16 in the book.
Rollback is the intent.
This doesn't set the rate, this just sets the maximum.
Right, trying to make it level. But it doesn't actually make it level because it makes
Why not
it,
set the max?
yeah, it would have to be like 6.25
Just in case,
to probably make it level.
and you don't necessarily have to adopt it. Correct.
Okay,
Make
so
sure
as
it's
he
clear.
also said, tonight, we have to set a maximum of what we can go up to
Forever or just for this year?
for
Just
this
for this
year.
year.
We can, once we advertise it, we have to report it on August the 4th, which means we're gonna suggest it tonight, we'll vote on it at our meeting on Tuesday night. So you can change your mind between now and Tuesday as well. But once we decide on Tuesday and report it by August 4th to the county, we cannot go up from what we state. We can go down, but we can't go up. And he has in our budget the revenues, and if you go back over there, wherever the budget summary is, where it has the property tax revenues, he has them built in on page 3. The projected is $1,292,084. And that's the amount he's got built in to this budget. Based on that millage rate. Mr. Barker.
But just a question. If this is just to set it what it could only go up to as a top of the line, if you guys don't have the numbers yet until the next workshop for the shortfall for possible items for what have already been mentioned, how does that work if you have a shortfall? I mean, I'm not saying you have to obviously go up, but if you don't give you guys and yourselves any breathing room, and there's no other way to get those funds, and you haven't set that tonight or thought ahead about that, how would you, obviously you can't go back on that is the only question I kind of have.
Yeah, and that's a very true statement.
And it's something that we have been in the past faced with
Yeah.
every budget season.
If you
Yes,
move,
Generally, the council doesn't like to go up,
Right.
but we also are faced with this dilemma. They are faced with that dilemma of raising it up and then telling everyone that they can go back down, which never seems to happen.
so I'm looking right on page 17, we've never went higher than that 6.7.
That's right.
That is correct.
And I will say the maximum that you can go is 10.
Yeah.
And maximum the county can go is 10.
Now, if we say a proposed, like what you're talking about, that don't mean that's what we're fixing to do, we can stay at 6.75.
Correct.
Kind of limit, say 7, just in case we
Yes,
need to.
Yes, that is
what
correct.
Donna did.
You could say 7 and report that to the county, and at our budget hearing, we could actually go down again.
Right. Go down there, not over that.
But he's gonna adjust the budget to whatever we tell him. So if we keep it where it is, he's gonna leave the budget like it is. If we tell him to go to 7, he's gonna adjust the budget to that.
We'll remind you to use your mics, please. Can't hear you.
I can't hear whoever that is.
Say that again?
Use your mics again. They can't hear you online or. if you're
They can't
on-
hear me?
No, there's,
Oh.
folks aren't using the mic.
I started to say, I got mine on, I promise. The difference between 6.75 and 7, 6.75 is $96,774. 7.0 is $129,941.
He said every 0.25 is about $30,000.
It goes up $33,000.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just pointing that out for somebody who may not be looking at the same page we're looking at. It's not a lot, it's not a lot, but it may impact the residents, depending on the value of their house. Because what you see, that $12.50 is per 100,000 valuation of their house.
I think we said it like a pizza, extra pizza a year or something.
Right,
Depends on where you go.
yes. Unless you've got a house that's 200,000 and then you're talking $25.
Forget pizza.
A year increase.
Or 300,000, you're talking $36.
Over a year.
50 cents.
Over
what
a
does
year,
that mean
though.
for the current housing market?
Say again?
What would that mean with the current housing market and keeping the millage rate the same?
That's what's on
It keeps it the same as it is now.
Right, but everybody's home values have gone up significantly.
Right. If we keep it the way it is now, it's actually 8.7% increase.
You know, we still haven't heard utilities on what they need. And if we don't hear them tonight, I know by talking with Donald and Jonathan and stuff, we have the truck that Mike
Yep, they have some capital.
is way past its due.
Is your mic
Forgive
on?
from-
It's on, it's just.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, Slinger
Yes.
truck?
Or a spitter? What is it called?
It's called a
Slinger or
squirt
spitter?
truck. It's the white Ford with a bucket on the back you see running around town.
That needs to be replaced.
And that's at, low side
The
of that will be
smaller, the
$250.
smaller of the bucket trucks.
Yes, ma'am, and right now the price for that in the low side is $250. If we wait much longer, it'll be $260, $280. By 60 days, it'll be almost $280.
Yeah.
And it's also 16 years old.
You know, like, and also too, when I went out to see everything that they've done with cleaning up, painting, the lift station, stuff like that, they're using equipment that they have to use on a daily basis.
Right.
That's old.
Really old.
And,
Most of
you
the
know,
lift stations
hats off to
themselves.
them for, to Jonathan and all them out there to keep us going, but we need to take and do that, you know? If we set it for 7 at the high, we see what police and fire have asked for. We're looking at what they're wanting, you know, that's 2 trucks. And what's the price of a truck like for Mike?
Low side is $250. Within the next 60 days, we're expecting to be $275 to $280.
We're
So,
looking at another lineman position too. I mean, we've still got wants,
I
or
mean,
needs.
I'm a citizen, I don't wanna see it go up, any. But based upon the last 10 years of not taking care of equipment, coming into a program to get stuff done, we've got to start replacing this stuff, or we're gonna be in a world of hurt.
Yeah, they have $285,000 in capital. One of them is a grant, and that has to do with fire hydrants. And they're looking for a grant.
Yes, ma'am, that's the rollover program of $20,000.
And then one is a smaller utility truck,
Yes, ma'am, for $25.
and then, is it a squirt truck? Is that
Yes,
what it's
ma'am,
called?
squirt. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Which again is that white one you see running around town with the bucket, the
Right.
550.
Is that the one Clerk drives?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, and the other capital that we're seeing here, the CRA, of course, has their own funding. The airport has a grant. And we see some administration, that's software that we haven't talked about yet.
I think,
Excuse me, what about our 5-year capital plan, year 1?
We really didn't want to touch capital until we talked about the budget. Just like fire and police didn't really want to talk about their capital right off the box. They'd rather go over their budget. We actually don't have a lot of increases, and we've taken out a lot of the stuff that's in your presentation. That's one of the reasons why we want to talk capital, because we want to show you the cuts that we made from what we proposed initially,
I didn't
which is
intend-
about 230,000.
And I
So
didn't intend to do capital until somebody.
I asked the question, is where in here is that first year of the 5-year
it's
capital
an amendment
plan?
on, I believe, one of the slides that Stephen presented.
Okay.
I'd have to go through it.
Okay,
but
thank
yes,
you,
yeah,
because I couldn't find it again.
Just
I
to
can
throw it out
find
there,
it.
it's about 44 million over the next like 7 years. So good luck.
Okay,
You're talking about base rate?
let's get a consensus, what do y'all think? If you have to do a maximum, Mr. Cox is saying, let's say 7, because we can always go back down to 6.75. That's what I'm hearing from Mr. Cox.
Why not set your max a little
I
higher?
almost heard that from Mr. Bullock, but not quite.
Well, I'm still trying to understand, so we're still going to leave it at 6.75. The 7 means if we choose, we need to move it up, that's where we can go.
Right.
Except we have
That's
to.
the most we can do.
Except we have to say 7 now,
And then
or
he
we can't
changes
go
this.
back. And we can move it back to 6.75 or even 6.5.
See, I mean, is what I want to do is leave it at 6.75, but have the 7 in there just in case we need it. That's what I want to do.
Mr. Bishop?
There's another side to that too. When the public looks at it, they see whether you raise it or lower it.
That's right.
It is not a popular thing for a
No.
council to
No, it
do.
is not.
It is definitely not.
It's not popular,
Mr.
but it's
Bishop, you
a
have the floor.
necessity.
Yes, ma'am, I would suggest it's 7 1/4, because you can always lower it. At 7 1/4 doesn't mean you want to go that high, but if you give your wiggle room, you have it. If you don't give you any wiggle room, you won't have it. Just my suggestion.
If we would realistically leave it at 7 1/4, I would say so too, but I don't know that this council will vote to do that. It does generate $163,000,
Yes, ma'am, if you look at the bills, that would go a long ways.
but it's also 21% increase.
Absolutely, but if you go 7, then you can't go above 7. If that's your worst case scenario, you gotta use it, you can't go above it. Just because you go high doesn't mean you have to go high.
Based on from what I'm seeing, we've never had to go over 6.75, correct?
We never have.
And the 6.75 is gonna generate more money this year than it did last year because of the values are going up.
Absolutely. And you'll also see by looking at it, I'm trying to see here, it's been at 6.75, it's been that way for 2 years.
6.75.
What was the high for the last couple of years? What have y'all done in the past?
That's it, 6.7.
This is,
Up to that 6.75.
yes, this
There's a
is
good
as high
economy
as
2 years
it's
ago.
been. And every year it's a fight.
Yep. I'm hearing consensus for 7 for the millage notification, with a plan to go down to 6.75.
I wanna stay at 6.7.
Yeah. So do we want him to raise the millage in the budget to 7, or do we want him to leave it at 6.75? We can give notice at 7.
I'd go with 7.
Does that sound like
Give
something we can do,
notice
give
at
notice
7,
at 7,
but
but
stay
leave
at
the budget at 6.75?
Yes, I'm gonna leave it at 6.75 and have the 7 in there.
So
if
we don't have to look for it after we reduce it again?
Exactly.
That makes sense? Mr. Bloom, I hope you hear that on the tape, when you listen to it tomorrow, or whenever you listen to it. All right, so, we will put that on the agenda for our Tuesday meeting, and we can make the motion just like that if you want to. Okay. Now that that's done, and because we don't vote, so we don't take motions here, and we'll do that at our meeting on Tuesday. We will move to community development. Where did Laura go? There she is. Which is essentially planning. I noticed they changed the name of your division. I don't think it's ever been community development, has it?
Yes.
It has, I had to look at it and figure out what it was.
My door sign says community development.
Does it really? Okay, I thought you were in the planning department.
Yes,
You're a
ma'am.
lot of things, right?
I have many titles.
Yes, you do. Okay, so what page do we need to be on for you?
You have a separate printout with a cow on the front?
I do. This one?
It also should be, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It also should be up.
I was thinking that was gonna be Mr. Mills, because I've had the cow on the front.
She just likes the cow.
She stole your cow, didn't she?
She just
Look,
likes
I
it.
gave him my cow.
Yes, you did.
I took it back.
All right, so in the agenda packet, what page do we need to be on?
You could go to page 1 of the staffing plan.
Page 1 of the staffing plan. Got it.
Page 11.
So I'll be presenting the community development and animal shelter preliminary budget, our department summary. So our departments, we have many titles. We have code enforcement, we have permitting.
That microphone on.
You gotta get close to it. It's on.
Can you hear me? Okay. So we have permitting, we have planning, we have code enforcement, animal care and control, the animal shelter, grants management. So we do have a couple of things, but we have a fairly small staff. Our staff is me and Wayne. Wayne is our code enforcement and animal control officer. We have Nicole Baus, who's our planning assistant. And we now have Lydia Blank, who's our permit technician. We have a subcontracted building official, that's David. And we're going to talk about 2 open positions that we hope to get filled sometime this upcoming fiscal year.
Okay.
So just some of the things that we did that we promised we would do at our last budget hearing when I gave my presentation. We have upped our revenue since Nicole has taken over for the business certificate, the business taxes, and she also became a level 2 certified business tax official. I promised you she would do that. The building permits revenue, we're estimated at $75,000, and we're over twice that already for this last fiscal year. I told you it would be a little bit more. I didn't know it would be that much more. So that's good. That's all revenue. Animal licenses, I promised, would be increased by over 100%, and we're around 50% right now. We've had a little bit of a, we're not going door to door like we wanted to because of the COVID. So we kind of backed up that a little bit. So we've got a lot of major grants that we've been awarded, that have been submitted, and we're not sure about awarding yet, and that we're managing. And I just wanted to let you know that we don't really have a whole lot of needs, but we will need a year amendment consultant. We got to do our comp plan in the next few years. And for the next fiscal year, I'm only asking for $10,000, but it's going to cost a heck of a lot more than that the following year. We need a consultant to help us do that. It's a mandated thing. You guys remember the comp plan updates, right? They're always fun.
Yeah, the EAR is evaluation and appraisal report.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't realize what that is.
Yeah, it's not easy, and it takes a consultant to help. We're going to not probably use half of what the last consultant tried to charge. So we're going to do a lot by ourselves, and we can. We're skilled enough to do that now, but we will need some money for that. So just for the first fiscal year, we'd like $10,000 to get that started. It will be due in July 2024, and it takes about 2 years to get it going. Building permitting doesn't have any significant needs, so we're going to skip them.
If you will, show me the 10,000 in the, is it in planning and zoning?
It's in planning and zoning.
I'm missing it somehow.
It's under professional services. You see
Okay,
it?
got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So for permitting, we're going to skip them because we don't have any changes. In fact, they're making more revenue than we ever expected, so we're fine with them. Animal control, we have a new animal shelter. In December 2022, the new animal shelter should be completed. The building will require programs, and it will require general operating expenses, including utilities and staff. The programs are going to be managed administratively by a part-time director, probably at first, and we're going to support them from the planning department. the plan is to be able to sustain at least one full-time and one part-time employee by 2024. So we have some time. David and I, Stephen and I went through this pretty intensively, and this is the bare budget that we could come up with to run that building with a few dogs and a few cats. So it was $33,000. Now don't forget, I'm also going to be taking some of Wayne's money for animal control to run this animal shelter. So
I see that.
So he has a budget of about 50, and a lot of that's going to go back to this building. So I'm not.
I saw that 70% of him is here, so 30% is somewhere else.
Right. So I'm not only asking for 33, I'm actually taking from him so that I can run this. But I believe I can do it. I believe that it will, if within 12 to 24 months, I'll have it like almost fully operating with grants and funding and special events and dog foods, vets, all that stuff is going to be donated. But I have to get those wheels turning, and I have to feed the dogs that come in, because they'll come in immediately. And I want to make sure that we can get them the services that they need.
Yep.
Other than that, we do support the special software administration's asking for. It's going to help us a lot. It's going to save us time, energy, and money, and it's going to save the citizens a lot of time and energy as well. So we appreciate you guys listening to my little spiel. It was a lot shorter than last year. I hope you appreciated that. You have any questions?
We appreciate it. Yeah, really.
I know last year I was a little longer.
We're glad you jumped up there to the microphone. It's nice to have a nice short one. Get it done. I have, just looking at the staffing plan, I see of your 4 people, not the open position. So I assume the kennel tech, that person is no longer with us. You're trying to find a new one?
Yes, ma'am. I don't need one right this second, but it is a position we already have at the city, so we call it open.
Yeah.
And then the animal shelter attendant would be a new position. I'd have to bring you a job description for approval.
But the 4 other people that are shown here, I see that you have raises in for 2 of them, but not the other 2.
Yes, ma'am. Our building permit technician was just
I know
started.
she's brand new, right?
And Nicole had gotten some certifications, and we had saved some money from losing our last permit tech, so we went ahead and gave her an increase.
Okay.
So we're not asking for another one.
That answers my question. Any questions for the community development area? Any questions for her? Are you putting a check mark on that area for right now? Mine's already there. So if everybody else got one too, we're good. Thank you very much. All right, if I go back to my agenda, the next thing on the list is city clerk. And Ms. Wright has given us a handout as well, and handouts are killing us. Because we haven't read them. I gotta find you in this book.
Mine's not much.
Okay, page 24 in your book, and the handout. Anytime you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready. All right. In my presentation, as everyone know, I wear many hats. I am the city clerk, which I work for the city council. My daily responsibilities, I work with the different departments, utility department, on making sure they have the vehicle collision procedure report in their vehicles. I work with the insurance, making sure that each vehicle is equipped with insurance cards. I also make sure that on the Florida League of Cities side, that all of our vehicles are insured. And if there are some that should not be on the list, I have removed them all. So we don't have that 2013 motorcycle anymore, still insured.
I remember that motorcycle.
I also assist with proposals and requests for quotes and biddings for all departments. I have created the archives or record retention room. I have cleared out that room that was down at the barn. Everything, all of our records now are stored behind us in this record room. So that was one of the tasks that I was tasked with is removing everything and making sure everything is up here. Now, I have yet to finish getting them all in order and labeled, but that is in the process. I also prepared the minutes and agendas for the council. I have improved on making sure that the council gets them in a timely manner. I'm also the supervisor of elections for the city of Williston. This last election was a very big election. I was tasked with a lot of things that I was not before because this is the first time that I had candidates run for a position. I had to pay extra for the poll workers. I have to pay for their training, their day that they work, and the cleanup. I am asking on my budget for an increase for elections. And due to this past election, I had to purchase extra envelopes and flyers to go inside because I thought there was going to be a runoff. It was a very close election. So next year, I think we have 3 people that would be up for election, and I have heard that there are going to be a good amount of people that are planning to run. So I want to be prepared to make sure that my budget is enough where I'll be able to get all the supplies that I need. I'm also tasked with doing the special events. And this year I think we had a very wonderful 4th of July, better than the laser show the previous year. I've also met with the council president and Councilman Cox to plan for next year's 4th of July. So I try to stay ahead to make sure that we get things in order.
Not at the same time, by the way.
No, not at the same time. So we're in the midst of planning different things to make sure that everything runs smoothly. I've also am tasked with National Day of Prayer and Veterans Day, which is coming up, which I have also as well started on to make sure that we have a very successful event. In the community, I am part of the Chamber of Commerce. I am the liaison for the city. I'm also the liaison with the Resort Group doing the back to school bash, giving away backpacks. I have upped and improved our Facebook. I am posting more items, more information to the public, along with the website with the help of City Planner Laura Jones and IT Tech Aaron Mills. There have been some hiccups during posting stuff on the website, but I think Aaron has that fixed at the moment. I also work with the local schools to coordinate the Student of the Month. I have attended several clerk conferences this year. I am 6 points away from receiving my CMC. I will receive my CMC in April of 2023. There's a time frame that I have to go through in order to receive it. Even though I have almost all of my points, I still have to wait the 2 years. I am also getting ready to attend a conference in Hollywood with Miss Deborah and several others for the Florida League of Cities, and there at that conference, I also will be receiving points towards my CMC. So any points that I get extra after I receive the 6 points for my CMC will go towards my MMC. And the only increase I am asking for is for elections and $1 per hour for myself. And again, like I said, the cost for elections has gone up. I want to make sure that I have enough envelopes, flyers, and everything to go in the packet to the residents.
Any questions for Ms. Latricia? The only question I have is, your compensation is normally done by evaluation and set by this council.
Okay.
So I don't know that we can put it in the budget, unless we just need to put it there so dollars are there. I believe last time it was actually more than $1 an hour.
Yes.
If I remember correctly.
But if it's not, then that's fine. I just wanted, then my increase then is for elections.
Well, let's say for Stephen's sake, and he's listening, or going to listen to this, that if we need to put it there, so that it's there for our consideration, if it needs to be there, so that we don't have to do a budget amendment later, that we can put it there, knowing that it could change based on your evaluation.
So you're suggesting that we put a dollar increase in the clerk's salary, but that's not meaning that you're going to give the clerk a dollar increase. Is that accurate?
She asked for a dollar.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to
Yes,
make sure
sir.
I understand.
And I'm asking Mr. Bloom, I'm not saying anything, I'm giving it to Mr. Bloom to decide whether it needs to be there.
Okay.
Because he told me on the video a while ago that he was gonna listen to this recording or watch the YouTube so that he would know how to make changes.
Okay.
So I'm talking to him even though he's not here, so that he can record that. Ms. Nelson?
I just want to clarify the understanding. Are you asking for a dollar with the budget plus an increase with your evaluation? Because I think you guys are thinking it's just the increase for her evaluation. Are you asking for both? Okay, that's what I think.
You're asking for both?
For both. I think she's asking for a dollar in the budget, and then that's my understanding.
Do you want to explain it that way? Okay.
I don't know if we can do that.
You can, because the previous years when all of the other employees got a raise, I did as well. But that might have been under a different circumstance. Like when they were increased to 2 point whatever, because I'm not on the contract.
That was before I was here. Because you're a charter officer and so is Ms. Gorman, normally it is based off the evaluation by the council. That's my understanding.
That's just not accurate.
Well, okay, so what do you think?
Well, I think that I'm the mayor now, but in the past, when I was on the council, we were very clear that raises were not, I understand that the council last time said the city manager got an evaluation of 4, I believe, and the council chose to raise her 4% because of that evaluation.
Well, that's not what I'm saying now.
I know, but I need to finish.
You do, but that's not what I'm saying. Go ahead.
Okay. So in the past, the evaluation was not based for salary increase.
How did the city clerk get an increase?
In the past,
It was based on the evaluation, right?
It
Not necessarily the dollar percentage value, but it was, you didn't put it in the budget. It was based on, in my years doing it, that's what we did it.
well, we had a little overlap.
You and I?
Yes.
Maybe 6 months.
Yeah, that's what I said.
It wasn't much.
In my years, we did not, the city clerk and the city manager, of course, they had a contract. And
No, the city clerks never had a contract.
the city manager, of course, they had a contract.
Yes, but we're not talking about the city manager this time.
Okay,
We're talking about the city clerk.
okay. You asked me how it was done. You just want to talk about the city clerk?
Well, that's what we're talking about at the moment.
That's fine. The city clerk was given a raise at the pleasure of the council, and it was not based on evaluation.
Okay, I think that's what I said.
Whatever the desires, I'm okay with it.
And well, again, I think we should leave it to Mr. Bloom. And if it needs to be there, we can put it there. And I think normally we've done budget amendments. You can talk, you really can. What does it say? Come on. Let's hear it. I know you're supporting each other, let's have it.
Certifications can also be given and is done staff-wide in every department.
Oh, sure.
Or raises, excuse me, can be given based on certifications. And her presentation specifically stated she's achieving that certification. So that wouldn't have to do with her evaluation. That has to do with achieving a milestone. And every single person here has that as an option. even as salaried members, to have adjustments based on qualifications.
Okay, but when she achieves that, we would consider that. And again, I would say to Mr. Bloom, if it needs to be put in the agenda, so we don't have to do a budget, listening, in the budget, so we don't have to do a budget amendment.
But it will be achieved in this budget, is what she told you. So if you don't have it in there,
I didn't hear the
it wouldn't be budgeted.
Yes, okay. April. I mean, I don't care, y'all tell me what to do. To me, it's based on evaluation.
She's being shy on permit.
Well, she should not be.
Because she didn't complete 2 certifications that she's giving me copies of those, and I can put those in her file.
Not just classes, but certifications?
Their certifications.
Okay, then she needs to let us know about those.
I received 2 certifications from this year, and I presented them to the HR director.
For your folder.
Know what they are?
And I didn't even forget what they were.
You can tell us next time.
I can tell you the next
Yeah, you can
time,
tell us
but
next
I
time.
don't want to give you
Right.
incorrect information.
I'm just saying she did.
Yeah, we just didn't know about it. So what do y'all think we want to do?
I mean, I'm okay with giving $1 raise, me personally.
And then giving another one when you do her evaluation?
Should she get
Well,
the
we
$1
can-
per cert? Should she get the $1 per certification, or? I think I'm trying to just kind of mimic off of what Donald said. Was she supposed to get that $1?
I don't know, what does the HR policy say about compensation for
I
certification?
think it does.
I don't know if it does, that's what I'm asking.
It does say,
So I didn't push for it because I wasn't aware that it applied to her, but I guess it does apply.
And as long as there's certifications, not just a certificate of completing a class.
It's 80% of job function.
Yeah, has to be related.
80% of
It
the
is an
job.
80% component of job function. So it had to do with clerking, which is 80% of her job function.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
and it's not something the manager, the director, in this case, the city
Who is
council,
that? Oh,
it's
Laura,
me,
sorry.
would come up with the amount. There's no amount written in the HR manual. So the dollar per certification, the dollar she's asking for, that's all up to you. But for budget reasons, I would put it on the high side of what you think you're gonna give her for the entire budget season, the entire fiscal year, with
But we
additional
don't know what
certifications.
that's gonna
know what
be.
that is.
Because
But you
last
could-
time she
but
got more than
$4
$1 an
But you
hour.
can overestimate, and staff is
So I
saying
think-
$4.
I would still
Well, I think
rather
her
just leave it to
evaluations
Mr.
can go
Ball.
up to four, correct? What is the evaluation?
It
A
could go
four?
to 5.
Or 5. You
Yeah.
do the 5, and then that gives you lead room that if she has a 5 evaluation, you have the money in the budget to be able to do that.
If
right?
that's what Mr.
Yeah,
Bloom
that-
thinks
that-
we need to do.
yes,
That's why I'm
absolutely.
still trying to direct it back to Mr. Bloom.
If I may,
Different thing.
hang on, if I may.
So certification is a different thing. It's not where we started.
Certification needs to be worked into the budget. But as far as the raises, I think, and I mentioned this earlier, one of the challenges is, I was trying to get everybody at one spot so we knew how to do a raise for everybody. Now it's strange the way we're doing it, because it's, some hasn't worked in, some don't have it worked in.
We'll get
It's
there.
gonna make it tougher.
Well, you heard me
So-
ask Laura about the
Yeah.
ones she had not indicated
Right,
for.
right, right.
We'll do the same with the others.
Same with the others, right? So Stephen, pick up on that, if you would.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
And I would say that the certification is a this year thing, and it's a totally different issue, so bring that to us, on an agenda, present it with us.
With a copy of the HR policy.
That's right, and we'll do that. And I think we need to review either her job description or the charter about how we give raises to the city clerk. I think it's done by evaluation, but, that's just Deborah sitting here. so.
But to the mayor's point, is it, if she gets 4, is that a 4%, or is that
That's,
4% you did
that's
tell her we're
something,
gonna give it a
that's
time?
something we decide on as a group when it happens.
Right.
So are we done with that, or are we not done with that? What did we do?
My suggestion, Latricia, is to follow up with Stephen about the conversation.
So, yeah, let's investigate it and see if anything addresses her evaluation.
When does the evaluation come back up for her raise? How far away are we?
What month are you?
It's January.
January. It's,
She's right after me and I'm
it's whenever their dates of hire were for that particular job. And they'll notify us and give us the forms to do it on. And we'll each do one individually, and then we'll total them. And that's
I
usually.
personally like the idea if you're getting the certificates and that's what everybody agree upon and they're worth a value to the city.
Yes.
I'm definitely okay with getting something put on
Well, if she'll bring those
on
back,
the
so we can
agenda
do
or
that
whatever and do
in this
something
budget.
before,
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, if she
before
earned those,
January.
we just didn't know about them. I didn't anyway.
Pay for accomplishments.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll leave it to the investigation to see how to do the other.
She's wanting the 10,000.
Yes, the 10,000 for the increase in the election. Is that what it was, 10,000? No, it was like 4,000.
4,000.
4,000.
Thank you.
Because it has 10,000 in professional services, but. Okay, so everybody's okay with that? Obviously you have to have that
Yes.
Yes.
to operate efficiently. All right, so are we moving? Next one says Public Works. Do we want to get into Public Works? They're shaking their heads at me. So do we want to do IT or airport? It don't take quite as long?
You don't have one.
I'm looking at this council.
We can,
It's only 9
help
o'clock.
you.
Let's just keep
Would
it
you like
in
us to
the
help you?
Where's
Where's your paperwork, buddy?
Mr. Airport is ready. Let's do airport.
I don't have a presentation.
I see you holding up this folder saying, let's do it.
Let's go quick.
Absolutely. Just get it.
Yeah. Thanks, Jay Button. All right, tell us where to go.
Alright, so, no, I did not have a handout because, I preach out of the Bible, so I can speak out of the budget.
We can't hear you.
Y'all hear me?
No.
You preach out of Bible, so what?
So I can speak out of the budget.
So you can speak out of the budget,
Yeah,
okay.
it's pretty easy to do.
Because it's the Bible, right?
Yep, page 43 is where the airport fund starts.
Oh, you're so good. Thank you very much.
I do what I can. And the budget requests at the end of the packet for the airport are on page 72. Now, I would like to start off by saying I took over I started with the airport, or as the airport supervisor, about 4 years ago. Realistically, about 3.5 years ago, I started under the tutelage of Mr. Littman. Mr. Littman was the airport manager at the time, and I was the airport supervisor. In that time frame, about 2 years into that time frame, after Mr. Littman left, we decided that it would be a good thing to remove the airport manager title from the city manager and bring all the airport documents, processing, and just about everything airport related out to the airport instead of having it split among City Hall and the airport. That decision has been a huge, huge win for the airport and for the city. And it's been interesting. It's been a fun time. It's been a great learning experience. But going over our budget, there's a few things that you'll see there are some pretty significant differences. So if you want to start off in revenues, we see a big jump in jet fuel sales, right? There, if you want to start line by line, we can go to avgas sales that are up 17.5%. But last year's budget year, we kept the avgas numbers the same as COVID. So we kept those numbers the same. So we are seeing a slight increase for this year's numbers. So what Stephen and I did was we took a 3-year trend of our fuel sales, averaged that out, and then rolled that back to 90% and plugged that into our budget for jet and avgas sales. So still very conservative on those numbers. One of the things that's kind of interesting here is on the budget, for some reason it has T-hanger rentals going down.
Yeah.
I don't understand that because the rate increases were just raised and codified. So
it must be a plus 12 instead of a minus 12.
yeah, I'm curious about that.
Mr. Blaine, please look at the T-hanger rentals.
Yep.
Showing a negative and it has a positive in the budget.
Yep. Same thing with corporate hangar rentals. There's going to be an increase there. Now, some of the revenues that we have, temporary parking tie down, parking revenue, and there was another one where Wayne did things differently as the airport supervisor. He had things listed under parking revenue. We don't have a parking fee. We don't have a landing fee. So one of the things that Stephen and I have really tried to do is clean up the terminology on our revenue sheets, and we're still working through some of that. Let's see. Timber sale. There is going to be a timber sale coming in at the end of this year, end of this fiscal year, beginning of next fiscal year. The only reason we're doing them, so close together, back to back, is just because the price of timber is just it's way too high, and it's very difficult to pass up on. Stephen and I have already talked about pulling the money out from this timber sale to replant both timber sales. So everything that we're cutting, we're going to set aside to replant.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Building rent's going to go up. Land rent is going to go up because we've got more land leases coming in. I'm not sure what he has plugged into miscellaneous income, but then the next line you have use of fund balance. So we are pulling $60,000 out of airport reserves, and most of that is coming from this past year's timber sale. We're pulling $40,000 out to furnish our new FBO building, and at the request of the council, we're pulling $20,000 out for a sign, a sign on 121 that says, Williston Airport, among everybody else that wants to pitch in and help out with that. So that's going to be a fun project. Before I leave revenues, there's something that I would like to point out. If you look at some of the 21 actual numbers and the 22 projected numbers on revenues, when it comes to land rent and stuff like that, you will see that the 22 projected numbers are significantly higher. And this is not due to myself at all. This is due to one individual out of the airport that works very hard and very diligently to ensure that this revenue is collected, Ms. Kelly Hars, and we couldn't do this without her. So I'll lead into that a little bit more in a minute. But I wanted to point that out before we moved on from revenues. Next line, we've got grant revenues coming in. The grant revenue, I'm pretty sure is going to be a little bit more than 1.4 million. I noticed he had a taxiway realignment project. That's not the only project coming down the pike this year. We've got the airport terminal design coming up. There's a fully funded FDOT project. So it's very possible that on the JSIP, the line items are. It's difficult to read sometimes, so it's very possible that you just miss it. Very possible. It can be very taxing to look at.
Okay, so Mr. Bloom, please look at grant revenues for the airport. See Ben.
Yep. Payroll or personal services, we can get to in just a minute because I would like to talk about the raises whenever we talk about that. Big expense changes for us. You're going to see, the reduction in financial services from, part of the Infomark money going out. So with that, we'll see an increase in Selena's budget for her and a couple of people there. You'll see that coming out of our salaries, as well as an additional, in addition to HR's budget from that. And it doesn't quite wash, but it's like 18,000 out and 18,350 in. So it doesn't quite wash, but it's pretty close. Not the end of the world. Not really a hill worth dying on, as it were. If you look at maintenance and repairs, line item 146, we've increased the budget for that by about $5,000. Due to the airport suffering in the same way that some of the city equipment has. A lot of the maintenance and a lot of the buildings they're in less than nominal shape. So we're having to spend a lot to go into repairs and maintenance. And thankfully, we put a repairman on our staff this year, which has significantly reduced the amount of money we're spending. But we still need to continue to maintain our stuff.
Yeah.
Moving on to any questions about page 45 at the moment?
The decrease in overtime, that's because you increased your part-timers?
Decrease in overtime. Are you talking about projected to budgeted?
Yes.
I'm not sure why that got left at 500.
Does that need to be looked at too?
I believe so.
That was something I highlighted.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it dropped so significantly.
It never dropped. We actually just didn't allocate overtime.
All right, but you think it probably needs to be, what,
Yes.
4,000, 4,500 at least?
Minimum. Yeah.
Mr. Bloom, on page 45, airport overtime, please, topic Ben.
And we can have that budgeted in there just to be safe. But we are asking for an additional full-timer and an additional part-timer, and that should help alleviate a lot of the overtime stresses that we had this year. And I would like to add, with all of that and with the coming requests, that the airport budget is an enterprise fund, and with everything that's in it, it's already balanced. It's
self-supporting.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Vehicle fuel we added to, but we all know why. Let's go to contingency fund, line 349. If you look at the fiscal year budget for 23, you'll notice $37,000 in the contingency fund. The way Mr. Bloom set this up is any additional revenue left over was placed into the contingency fund. It's kind of a standard operating practice for him. And the reason I bring that number up is because when we go into page 78, that number will come important. Let's see. So airport improvements, that's covered with our grant revenue. Capital outlay furniture to FBO, that's part of the the money coming out of the airport's the airport fund. We're going to continue that sinking fund for building improvements as our airport-owned buildings start to age, or continue to age rather. And now the last big thing is, if you would look at page 78, it talks about the budget requests from the airport, specifically pertaining to salaries. Since I've been at the airport, the only raise that I've had has been a 1.3% raise when I took over as airport manager. So I did some comps between a lot of other airports around, and if council would like to see those, I will absolutely love to email those out to you guys. But what we found was that the airport manager in Williston is woefully underpaid. But I'm not going to ask for the moon. I'm not shooting for the moon. But at my current salary, I make more as a staff sergeant in the Army. I'm not, not trying to downplay anything that I do. I love my airport. I love the city. But it would be nice to be paid a little bit more. Never hurts, right? And I believe me and my team have done an exemplary job on getting the airport where it is today, and we would like to continue that moving forward. So with that, I'm asking for a raise personally. I'm asking for a raise for Kelly, and I would actually like to amend this number to a little bit higher number. Kelly's currently, the request is currently for $18.50. I would like for Stephen to plug that into to at least 20 an hour, because we don't have many Kellys working for the city, and we need all the Kellys we can get. So they're few and far between, and I need to pay her more. And then bringing all of my team members up to $14 an hour. And that's part-time team members and full-time team members alike. Any questions?
What's your average pay now?
My average pay now, like the teams, $12.62.
Yeah, why did we not see your employees here like the others were listed out?
It's a great question.
Yeah, because he didn't do it, right?
No, they're on your original packet on page 14.
Okay, so good.
Thank you.
I'm looking at the supplement that he sent out. Thank you very much.
I noticed it wasn't in the supplement either, so I was like, all right, well, that'll be fun.
Ben, what does that take you to, 76 a year?
No, ma'am. 72.
Oh, that's total payroll, okay.
Right.
So 72.8.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, so this doesn't indicate an increase for anybody.
Right, and that's what page 78 does. That's the way Stephen set up the budget. The initial budget packet was the pay increases didn't go into the initial packet. They were put in at page 78 for all departments.
And then he did it on the supplemental for everybody else, then he didn't include the airport
Except
for
for
whatever
the
reason.
It's all right. The airport gets left out. It happens. We're just disconnected from the flagpole, which I'm completely fine with.
Except that we can look at it and not tell what it says.
Right.
It doesn't tell me much.
Right. No, that the dollar figures are there. I don't know exactly how much, dollars per hour that comes out to me, but I'm salaried. I can tell you, it takes Kelly from 17 an hour to 18.50 on this sheet. But again, I would like to revisit and see if we can get her to $20 an hour, which I know it's in my contingency fund to get her there. Because if you look at the total amount for payroll, my requests are $24,000. There's $37,000 in the contingency, so there's still plenty in there to get Kelly up a little bit more. And then bringing all my team members that currently have up to $14 an hour.
I mean, this ain't costing the city any money, so
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I don't see why it's
Exactly.
not an issue at all.
Okay, any questions from Mr. Stegall?
I think it's reasonable.
You do what now?
I think it's reasonable.
Okay,
Yep.
we're moving on. Thank you,
very
sir.
much.
All right, we want to go somewhere? IT?
That's gonna take a while for IT and utilities,
I think just just from the budget meetings we've had, that Stephen really needs to be here when we talk about IT, because there's a lot
I know
of.
he needs to be here for utilities, that's why I avoided the utilities.
I
And I know, they know he needs to be here too. Okay, so I would entertain a motion for adjournment at this time, and when we fix another meeting, hopefully within the next 2 weeks, that we have to obviously see when Stephen can be here. We'll let you know when that is, and try to get everybody's calendar. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment at this time.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
I have a motion, and I have a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. We will adjourn at 9:15. Thank you for sticking it out with us.
Already over.
Yeah. I don't think I go that far, but.